Welcome. My name is Mr. Sudarine, and today I'm going to guide you through this lesson, and we're going to be discussing how can we compare fractions with the same numerator. Hopefully during this lesson, we're going to be going over some examples, and I'm going to guide you through some of the lessons and some math vocabulary. Before we begin today's lesson, I'm just going to go over some math vocabulary that's going to be very essential for this lesson. We're going to go over two terms. One is numerator and one is denominator. So in order to understand what a numerator is, it's how many equal parts do you have? And denominator is how many equal parts is the whole divided into? When we look at numerator, we see that the number 3 is on the top. The numerator is located on the top of this bar, which we call a fraction bar. And on the bottom is 4. That is our denominator. To make sense of this, we call this 3 out of 4 or 3/4. And here's a picture diagram that helps us visualize what 3/4 looks like. 3/4, we see that in this picture, we see that this image is cut into 4 equal pieces. And of those 4 equal pieces, 3 pieces are left, giving us 3/4. Hopefully this was helpful, and this will definitely be very important for today's lesson. We're going to go over another quick tutorial, and this is going to be very helpful later on in the lesson. So when we look at here, we can see some pictures, some circles. First circle is 1/2. We see that the denominator is 2. There's 2 equal pieces, which is our denominator, and 1 piece is shaded, giving us 1/2. In this diagram, we see 3 equal pieces. The circle is cut into, giving us our denominator, which is 3, and one of the pieces is shaded in, giving us 1/3. We continue that to 1/4 and 1/5. There's 1 piece shaded of 4 equal pieces, and there's 1 piece that is shaded of 5 equal pieces. I want you to notice that all the numerators have 1. So remember, the numerator is the top number. So 1, 1, 1, and 1 here. The denominators, on the other hand, are all different. Here we have a denominator of 2. Here we have a denominator of 3, denominator of 4, and a denominator of 5. I pose some questions here, and we will answer them at the end of the lesson and to see if you got this correct. Which fraction has the most shaded in, and which fraction has the least shaded in? So again, if you know the answers, hold on. The answers will be revealed at the end of the video. We're going to move on to our first problem. In the introduction, here's a problem for you. Leslie and Kelly each buy a half-liter bottle of water. Leslie drinks 3/4 of her water. Kelly drinks 3/5 of her water. Who drinks the least amount of water? So take a moment, pause the video. You can underline, annotate the problem, write out what fractions you think there are, and ultimately think about between Leslie and Kelly, which of the two drank the least amount of water. So again, I encourage you to pause the video and we'll resume. And on the next slide, we'll show you a visual diagram. So feel free to draw a picture, draw a fraction, and then we'll compare what you have on the next slide. Here, if you're having a little bit of trouble in answering the question, I provided you an example of how you may want to annotate this problem. Leslie and Kelly each buy a half-liter bottle of water. Leslie drinks 3/4, and notice how I highlighted that in green. And here's a picture for Leslie. This is her water, and I divided it into 4 equal pieces, and she drank 3 of those 4 pieces. Kelly drinks 3/5 of her water. So here's a diagram for Kelly, and I divided it into 5 equal pieces. And of those 5 equal pieces, Kelly drinks 3 of those pieces. 3 equal pieces, 3/5, giving us 3/5 here. Leslie, on the other hand, drinks 3 of the 4 pieces, giving us 3/4. So for here, we want to think about the question. I underlined it over here. So who drinks the least amount of water? So now that we have a visual diagram for each Kelly and Leslie, we can think about answering the question. Who drinks the least amount of water? So if I look at this, I see that Leslie drank a lot of the water, and compared to Kelly, Kelly's a little lower. So it looks like Leslie drank more and Kelly drank less. So there's more blue here compared to the blue that's over here. But when I look at the question, who drinks the least amount of water, I see that Leslie did drink a lot, but that's not what the question's asking. The question's asking who drank the least, and that is Kelly, because Kelly drinks, her line of water is much lower than Leslie. Therefore, Leslie drank the least amount of the water. Here's another diagram that someone did. You can also think about a bar and break it up into 4 equal pieces. And Kelly breaks up into 5 equal pieces, and then write your fraction. From here, we can think about comparing the two models, both Leslie and Kelly, and we can still determine that Kelly drinks the least amount of water. Here are some noticings that I've seen based on this example, and you can compare it to your own notes. I noticed that the numerators are the same. So here I see 3 and 3. Remember, the numerators are the top number. The denominators are different. I see the denominator here is 4, and the denominator here is 5. The larger denominator means a smaller amount of the fraction is shaded. So here we see that this is 5 and this is 4. So this one has a larger denominator, but it's less shaded in. So here's a noticings, and hopefully you might see that as well. And we can see another example that models this for you. Now we're going to go into our summary. Thinking about how can we compare fractions with the same numerator, in general, we just looked at if the numerators of two fractions are the same, the fraction with the smaller denominator is larger. The fraction with the bigger denominator is smaller. Here's another diagram to help solidify this point. We have two diagrams. One diagram is 3/4, and another diagram is 3/8. Based on this, see if you can figure out which fraction is greater and which one is less. And then compare the fractions, compare the denominators, and see if this rule works. What we just described here. You should come up with which fraction is greater. If we see here, we see that 3/4, there's a lot of blue that's shaded in compared to 3/8. So here the fraction where the denominator is smaller, 4 is smaller than 8. However, it covers, the fraction is actually larger, and there's more shaded in. Now we're going to move on to our last slide, and hopefully I hope you didn't forget. We're going to go over which fraction has the most shaded in and which fraction has the least shaded in. So the fraction that has the most shaded in, hopefully you said 1/2, and that if you did, that is correct. And the fraction that has the least shaded in, which is 1/5, is the least shaded in. And notice here we can look at our denominators and come up and develop that rule that we just stated in the last slide. Hope this was helpful. Have a great day.